friends, in this video we are going to discuss about registration under GST in India. It is a PAN-based registration. Taxpayers must have a permanent account number. For GST registration, it is compulsory for a taxpayer to have it. For proper implementation of any tax regime, the fundamental requirement is identification of taxpayer, which can be done through registration of taxpayers as it assures proper compliances, keeping proper track of transactions. Along with these benefits to the government, the registered taxpayer also gets various benefits like legal recognition in the eyes of law, he can collect tax from his customers, he can claim input tax credit, and one of the major benefits on the national level is seamless flow of funds from central and state government. In current scenario, every dealer is registered under state VAT laws and has a TIN, that is tax identification number, and every service provider is assigned a service tax registration number by CBEC. Now, with the introduction of GST, all the taxpayers will be consolidated into one single platform and will be assigned a unique 15-digit GSTIN number, which is Goods and Service Tax Identification Number, and a certificate of registration is made available on the GST Common Portal. Next, we are going to discuss about who should register under GST. In order to determine who should register under GST, we can categorize the registration in following categories. First such category is automatic registration. As the name suggests, it is automatic in nature. As per subsection 2 of section 22 of CGST Act 2017, all those taxpayers who are already registered or hold license under any of the existing laws like VAT, CST, service tax, etc. are to be automatically registered or migrated to the GST. But when we say automatic, don't be fooled, as they will have to fill enrollment forms for such migration process, providing required information and documents. Next is conditional registration. Registrations of this nature are based on threshold limits provided under subsection 1 of section 22 of CGST Act 2017, which specifies that following suppliers are to be registered under GST. Firstly, if the aggregate turnover of any supplier based in any state or union territory other than special category states exceeds 20 lakh rupees, and secondly, if the aggregate turnover of any supplier based in any special category states exceeds 10 lakh rupees. Here, what are these special category states? They are Northeast states, Himachal, Uttarakhand and Jammu and Kashmir. Next, we will discuss about mandatory and compulsory registrations. Irrespective of the above threshold limits that we have just discussed, the Act also specifies an additional list of suppliers in section 24 who are required to be registered under GST. This list includes the following person: any person required to pay tax under reverse charge, any person who is eligible to remit tax or claim input tax credit, or any other person making interstate supply, any casual taxable person, any non-resident taxable person making taxable supply, input service distributor, e-commerce operator, or any person supplying on behalf of other, whether as an agent or not. Other than that, we have every person supplying online information in database or retrieval services from a place outside India to a place in India who is not a registered person. Next is an e-commerce operator paying tax on certain specified categories of services, if such services are supplied through him. And lastly, any other person supplying through e-commerce who collects tax under section 52. The last type of registration is voluntary registration. As we can tell by the name of it, it is a choice of the taxpayer. Any person who is not covered under any of the above mentioned categories, that is, who is not bound to be registered under GST as a result of automatic, condition or mandatory registration requirements, has an option to register voluntarily. Voluntary registration comes with its share of pains and boons. On one hand, it provides legal recognition and ability to collect tax from the customers as well as claim input tax credit. However, on the other hand, it also results in additional responsibility to follow all the provisions of law like proper bookkeeping and regular filing of returns. Friends, next topic of discussion is location, that is, where to register. Registration is state specific, that is, one has to obtain registration in each state and union territory where he effects the supply from. From this perspective, we can segregate the taxpayers in two categories. First, if any taxpayer is operating its business from different branches located in different states, then he has to obtain separate state-wise registrations. Secondly, if any taxpayer is operating business in a single state, then he has to obtain a single GSTIN. However, there is a catch. If he operates multiple businesses in separate business segments within the same state, then he has an option to apply for separate GSTIN for each such business segments. Next, we are going to discuss about timeline for registration. Timeline for registration under GST as specified under subsection 1 of section 25 of CGST Act 2017. In order to determine the timeline for registration, taxpayer can be categorized in the following category. First is existing taxpayers. They are automatically registered based on their PAN. They have to fill details on online GST enrollment website, which is www.gst.gov.in. Their start date differs for each category. Next are new dealers. All those new dealers who are covered under the ambit of GST as a result of implementation of threshold limits, mandatory registration norms, or are registering voluntarily have the following timelines. First, taxpayers who are already liable at the time of implementation of GST, that is 1st of July. They have to apply within 30 days from GST implementation. Next are those who are currently not liable. They will have to apply within 30 days from the day on which they become liable. Next category is voluntary registration. They have no limit as such, as they are not covered by any laws. Next, we are going to discuss about casual and non-resident taxable persons. As they are occasional traders, hence it becomes very difficult to track them in real time. Therefore, norms relating to them are little different. They have to apply at least 5 days before starting any business. Subsection 1 of section 27 states that such registration is valid for 90 days only. However, they can opt for an extension. At the time of application, they have to deposit an advance deposit which shall be equal to the estimated tax liability that they will incur during their course of business. Next, we are going to discuss about who is exempted under GST. Section 23 of the Act provides for categories of suppliers who are exempted from the registration formalities. First is any supplier engaged in the supply of exempted goods and services. Next is agriculturists who do not have to pay tax under any laws. Other is any other category of suppliers specified by the government on the recommendation of the council. In order to read more about these exemptions, you can refer to our blog. Agriculturists and small traders are exempted from registering under GST on our website, which is www.enterslice.com. Other than these exempted categories, subsection 9 of section 25 also named the following who shall apply for unique identification number in place of GSTIN. First is any specialized agency of UNO, any multilateral financial institution and organization notified under the United Nations Act 1947, or any consulate or embassy of any foreign country. Other than that, any other person notified by the board, commissioner, state or central government on the recommendation of GST Council. With this, friends, we are going to end this video. For more information, you can refer to our website www.enterslice.com. You can send a query on info@enterslice.com. You can also call on the numbers given below here.